Hello, everyone, and welcome to Boston University's Financial Planning webinar, Find Your Purpose, Invest in Your Future. Thank you for tuning in this afternoon to learn more about BU's Financial Planning Certificate Program and how our highly ranked program can prepare you for your CFP certification. My name is Sarah, and I will be moderating today's session alongside our two hosts, whom I will introduce in just a minute. We invite you to ask questions throughout the webinar by typing in the questions box in your webinar control panel, located on the right side of your screen. We will address your questions towards the end of the presentation during the questions and answer session. And as a reminder, this webinar is being recorded, and a link will be sent to your email for your reference and to share with your colleagues. We have a great sized audience attending today, our live session, so let's jump right in. All right. I would now like to introduce today's presenter, Carolynn Tomin, the Program Director for the Financial Planning Program. Carolynn has been helping students become CFP professionals for more than 25 years and has helped develop BU's program while also having taught CFP courses and reviews. And Phuong Luong, BU's online facilitator and tutor who completed the BU Financial Planning Program in 2014 after obtaining her master's in education. Phuong is the founder of her own financial planning practice called Just Wealth and is currently serving on the CFP Board Council on Education, recently being appointed chair. We'll hear more from Phuong later about her financial planning success. All right, our agenda today will cover the following information. What is financial planning and the skills needed to be successful in this field? The benefits of becoming a CFP professional and the career opportunities that are available in this field. Phuong Luong's journey to becoming a financial planner. And then finally, the BU Financial Planning Program. And with that, welcome, Carolynn. I'll now turn it over to you to lead our discussion today.
All right, well, thank you very much, Sarah. And welcome to all of you for joining us today. I'd like to begin our session this afternoon by just talking a little bit about what financial planning is all about. And the reason I want to go over that is it's because many people believe that financial planning only involves investment planning or portfolio management. And of course, while these are very important parts of financial planning, they're not the whole picture. And that's because financial planning is actually a collaborative process that CFP practitioners will follow to help their clients meet their financial and personal goals. Financial planning combines the subject areas of insurance planning, excuse me, income tax planning, retirement planning, estate planning, and education planning. And we use all these subjects together when we create financial plans for clients, or we use them to provide our clients with financial planning information. And helping clients improve their financial situation is probably why 92% of CFP professionals say they are either satisfied or highly satisfied with their career choice. Now, a misconception that people have about financial planning is that it's really all about crunching numbers for clients, when really the most important skills that are needed to be successful in this career includes the 4 skills that we've put up here in this slide. First of all, let's start with the communication skills. This is really the most important one because you want to establish a rapport with your clients. It's really very important to understand your clients' wants, their needs, their fears, and their objectives so that you can ultimately help them meet their life goals. Another skill that's really important is counseling skills. And we need to have those in order to help motivate our clients to take certain actions and to keep them focused on meeting their goals. The next set of skills would be around building client relationships, because we want to make sure that we're working with clients in long-lasting professional relationships that are going to be based on mutual trust. And also we want to educate our clients too about how financial planning recommendations will help them achieve their financial goals. Now, I don't know if you're aware of this or not, but did you know that anyone can call themselves a financial planner or a financial advisor without obtaining any special education or credentials? However, that does not apply to certified financial planners because they have to go through a very rigorous 4-step process in order to get certified. And CFP professionals have a fiduciary duty to put their clients' interests first before their own. This high fiduciary standard does not apply to all financial advisors. And that's why the CFP mark is recognized throughout the world as the gold standard of excellence in the financial planning field. CFP is a certification that clients trust and that they turn to when they're seeking competent and ethical financial planning advice. In fact, it's reported that 9 out of 10 Americans want fiduciary advisors who put their interests first when providing investment advice. All right, so let's go over the 4 steps to certification. This is the process that anyone who wants to become a certified financial planner has to go through in order to become certified. And so we call it the 4 E's. The first E is education. This means completing a CFP program that is approved by CFP board, such as the BU Financial Planning Program. And the next E is examination. This means passing a 7-hour CFP board exam at the end of your studies. The exam is computer-based and it's taken at a Prometric testing center, which would be near you. They're in all of the 50 states, so you would be able to find one that's close by for you. The third E is experience, and that's for work experience. This means that you have to satisfy the CFP board's 2 or 3 year work experience requirements. Your previous work experience is reviewed first to see whether it qualifies, and that would be, they'll take a look at it after you pass the exam. But if you don't have any work experience in this field, that's not a problem either, because then you're going to have 5 years to obtain that experience after you pass the exam. And then the last D that we have here is for ethics. And that's because all CFP professionals are held to very high ethical standards. Now, the financial planning profession has only been around for 50 years, and it's a growing field. Statistics from the Department of Labor show that 4 to 5 times more job growth is forecasted for financial advisors on average than for all other occupations through the year of 2022. Surveys also show that the public wants to work with CFP professionals. And right now, even though we have a little bit more than 87,000 CFPs in this country, more CFP practitioners are needed to meet the public's demand. The CFP board did a study in 2016 that showed that CFP professionals have a competitive advantage over other advisors. And that's because 70% of consumers that utilize financial planners chose CFP professionals over other financial advisors. In fact, 87% of clients who do work with CFPs say they are very satisfied versus 72% of clients who work with financial advisors without CFP certification. And CFP professionals have reported a greater potential to achieve professional success. 70% of them believe that CFP certification has a positive impact on client trust and technical expertise. And 76% of CFPs said that having CFP certification contributed directly to their professional success. Financial planning is also a very rewarding and sometimes a very lucrative career as well. The IT Group study in 2016 also reported that there was a greater earning potential for CFP professionals. They found that CFPs earned 26% more than other financial advisors adjusted for years of experience. And financial planning practices with CFP practitioners generate 40% more revenue and attract 53% more ultra and high net worth clients than firms without CFP professionals. Now, there's so many different types of firms that hire CFP professionals, and many large institutional firms are looking to increase their diversity within their workforce as well. So we've listed a bunch of them up here, but actually there's even more than this. But let's just go over some of these major categories. First of all, you could work for banks with your CFP certification, especially in the trust departments. Banks may also offer portfolio management, tax planning, estate planning, and financial planning for their clients as well. Insurance companies are increasingly offering financial planning services in addition to selling their insurance products. Accounting firms will also hire CFPs because many tax planning firms offer financial planning and investment planning services to their clients. And of course, brokerage firms and mutual fund companies, they frequently will encourage their employees to get their CFP certification, and they're eager to hire CFP professionals as well. But I've even listed some things on here that are kind of outside of the box. Human resource departments are also looking for people with CFPs because human resources will provide employee benefits to their employees, and that is also part of the CFP board's curriculum. And also nonprofit organizations as well, because charitable planning is an important part of the CFP board's curriculum too. As a matter of fact, you'll find charitable planning in 2 of your subjects, in the tax planning course and also in the estate planning course as well. But besides all of these different types of institutions, we have financial planning firms that are going to hire CFPs as well. Financial planning firms range in size from the large institutional firms all the way down to the small independent boutique firms. And some of the entry-level positions in the financial planning field will include client service or financial planning associate, a paraplanner designation, operations associate, and investment research analyst. You should also be aware that firms have different business models and compensation models. And so you would certainly want to check into both of these types of models when you're comparing financial planning practices. Another thing you should be aware of too, that retiring CFP practitioners are also looking for new planners to train and eventually to take over their financial planning practices. A Cerulli study found that 1 in 6 advisors are planning to retire in the next 5 years. So it's not surprising to learn that there are more financial planners over the age of 70 than under the age of 30 right now. So the next generation of financial planners is really urgently needed. Another thing you could do is you could also start your own financial planning practice too. There's help available for new planners through the Garrett Planning Network, and that's if you're interested in doing fee-only financial planning. Also, the XY Planning Network, they work with millennials, and they're another really good resource to look into as well. And you can also find mentoring and support about starting your own financial planning practices from your local financial planning professional organizations, such as the FPA, which stands for Financial Planning Association, and also something called NAPFA, N-A-P-F-A, which is the National Association of Personal Financial Advisors. Another thing you could do is you could also buy an existing financial planning practice with a readily available client base so that you won't need to build a practice from scratch.
Great, thank you so much, Carolyn. And at this time, this now brings us to Phuong's testimonial to her financial planning success and why she was motivated to pursue this rewarding career path and finding her own purpose. So we'll move to that slide. Thank you, Phuong.
Thank you, Sarah, and thank you, Carolyn, for that wonderful introduction. Before I jump into my testimonial, I want to say that it's so exciting to be with you all and to be here at the start of your journey. And I want to say that about 8 years ago, I was actually in your shoes. I was in an in-person information session with Carolyn when she was presenting about the financial planning program. And that's when I decided to choose you as the program that I would do to start my education for those 4 E's toward CFP certification. And so since then, it's been a pretty wild ride in my career. And I actually started as a teacher. And so I wanted to talk about why I pursued financial planning as a career, because that was actually the very beginning. And it's really important that you consider your why. So Carolyn just talked about all the benefits of CFP certification, not just from your career and your options, but also because it's providing me autonomy and flexibility. And actually, part of the presentation that Carolyn gave several years ago when I decided to pursue this career opened my eyes to all the different things I could be doing. And so actually, what I did was I started at a nonprofit. So after I taught math and special education for almost a decade, when I started my CFP certification, I started working at a nonprofit providing financial coaching and counseling to people living in public housing. And at the time, this organization was in Boston, and I was there for several years, and I trained financial coaches and counselors as well. And having the CFP certification allowed me to rise to the level of director of financial services at the organization. At that time, it was not common for CFP professionals to work in the nonprofit organization. And actually since then, and this is about 7 years ago now, since then, it's happening more and more because now other sectors, not just private companies, not just brokerage firms, not just insurance companies, are realizing the value of the CFP designation. So after I started working in a nonprofit, I did training, I counseled and worked directly with clients as well. I created workshop curriculum, and then I started training other folks, not just within my organization, but within other organizations as well. It was really, really fun because, as I said, I was a teacher, and so I actually got to continue educating and teaching even once I had my CFP, which, it shouldn't have surprised me because, like we talked about before, you can take the certification and really mold the career you want in any way you like. And so after I left the nonprofit, I realized I wanted to see, what would it mean and what would it look like to practice financial planning on my own, and what's my brand of financial planning. And so I actually started my own business. And Sarah mentioned in the beginning, during that brief introduction of my bio, my practice is called Just Wealth, and I work with everyday working people and middle class folks, and typically, again, people that aren't served in the financial planning world, right? Who and because they're not very wealthy. However, right, as I started my business, I was wondering, is this going to work out? Are there going to be people out there who understand what the CFP certification is and what it provides them? And actually, yes. Since then, I've also been a beneficiary of the CFP board, doing a lot of public outreach to make sure that the public understands what the certification is and the value of it. And so I've just been, again, the beneficiary of more and more people understanding what the CFP certification does and why it's important for their advisor to have it. And so starting a business, that's what I currently do, as well as serving as a facilitator for the Boston University Financial Planning Program, which I'll talk more about at a later slide. And so I also consult with a wealth management firm developing socially responsible investment strategies. And so, like I said, you can really with the CFP, and following your own interests is so important because that's going to allow for the sustainability in your own life, and also so you can be sure that you can stick with it for the long run. It's because you work so hard to get the CFP certification. Make sure that you're in a place in a workplace that values you and understands the value of what you're bringing, and that you're enjoying as well. Then I want to talk about what financial planning studies at BU taught me. So all the things that I just mentioned that I've done in my career and that I'm still currently doing would not have been possible without the things that I've learned at BU. And there are different ways that BU is actually really unique. And so, so one thing I'll say is that, yes, right, every literacy program needs to teach the financial planning steps. You need to learn the content, the technical knowledge. That's all important. And it goes without saying that BU teaches us that. What's also really unique about BU, though, is that the instructors who have been with BU since the beginning are all practicing certified financial planning professionals, and actually all built the program as well, and are behind all the content and exam questions and practice questions as well. And so what the BU content and education providing me with an understanding that financial planning is not just a science, but it's also an art. And there are rules, but there's also flexibility that you need when you're working with actual clients and actual people. And so, it really extended the content and the framework of financial planning beyond the textbooks. Of course, there are textbooks, right? And it's important to understand the technical knowledge. I want to emphasize that. But being flexible in how you're using information and how you're communicating it, and how you're writing it, actually, is something I learned while I was at BU. And I also learned the importance of mentors and a community. So I mentioned before that I was a career changer. So I started as a teacher before I started my CFP studies. And I didn't know anyone in financial planning. I didn't know any financial planners, not in my friend circle, not in my professional community, and not in my family either. And so actually being a part of BU connected me to other organizations like the Financial Planning Association. Carolyn mentioned the Financial Planning Association before, and actually that was, when Carolyn mentioned it years ago, right, and during the information session, I had never heard of them. And so I looked them up and I joined them as a student, which I would recommend to anyone here, as whenever you enroll into a registered program for CFP studies, I recommend you join as a student to the Financial Planning Association. What it provided me was a community of folks that I could ask questions to about what their lives were as CFPs, whether or not they enjoyed their work, what they would do differently, and also to get advice as I was going through those 4 E's, between my education, the exam, the ethics, and the continuing education. And so I really, really highly recommend, I can't stress it enough, to join either the SPA or another, your local chapter or any other association of advisors, maybe perhaps in your niche, right? If you have a tax niche or if you have an investment niche or retirement niche, find your community and start early in there. Another area where I was able to get and find mentors in the community is actually through the Gillespie Scholarship. So I'm not going to say too much about it now, and that'll be on the next slide. There is a scholarship at BU that I was able to apply for and actually receive. And I was so fortunate to get it because it also provided me an additional community that I could lean on for all those, all the parts of this journey. And then I want to go through the last part here, the opportunities that CFP certification has made available to me. And it's hard to know where to start with this. There were so many opportunities that have been open to me. And so I've already mentioned having a community, right? Also understanding not just the framework of financial planning, but understand how to be flexible with it. But also how to mold my education skills and my previous career into my current one, right? In that I can teach workshops with my CFP certification. I can be the financial planning facilitator for BU. I've also written pieces for financial advisors in different publications. Goes without saying, I can be an advisor and a financial planner to my clients. And also, even just for my own personal understanding and personal knowledge, understanding financial planning from the eyes of a professional really helps me understand the different products and accounts that are available for everyday normal working people. So when I go and read a financial publication in news and media now, I can read it with a really critical eye. And sometimes I find errors when I read other publications. So that's been really interesting as well. And another benefit is that, understanding how our money system works has been a huge eye-opener, and is a really important and valuable skill, so that you can help make other people's lives better. So that's why I'm there. Another piece that CFP Certification made available to me is leadership opportunities. So like Carolyn, I've served on the council on education of the CFP board. And what the COE does, and what that committee does, is it maintains and advises on the educational and certification standards for CFP professionals. And it's been a wonderful experience. I've been in the group for about 3 to 4 years now, and I was the chair this year, vice chair last year, and next year I will be the chair emeritus, which means that I get to sit back and mentor other members and new members who are on the council on education. And before then, I was in various working groups with the CFP board and other financial planning associations to help develop the field and also strengthen the pathway and to clear barriers for new financial planning students that are joining the CFP community. So all this has been really meaningful for me, and I really appreciate being able to share my path. Sharing it all out here shows me it's a little bit exhausting, isn't it? How much has happened in the last decade. But it's really all thanks to having my start at Boston University under Carolynn's mentorship and also the other awesome team and faculty at Boston University. So thank you. And I think now is this the Gillespie Scholarship? Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. So I'll talk more about the Gillespie Scholarship now. And this is a really meaningful thing for me to share with you all because, like I mentioned briefly before, I am a Gillespie Scholarship winner. And I received this Gillespie Scholarship my first year in the Boston University Financial Planning Program. It took me 2 years to complete the program, I should say that. And when I applied for the scholarship, I didn't think I was going to get it. I wasn't sure, right? And luckily it happened. And so what I want to say is, right, apply, no matter what, apply. So whether it's a Gillespie Scholarship or if it's another scholarship, oftentimes Financial Planning Association or other certified financial planning groups or communities of advisors have scholarship funds. If you learn about a scholarship, I would say just go for it and apply. I've applied for different things during my career and during the pathway to certification. And sometimes I got this scholarship, like the Gillespie Scholarship, but sometimes I didn't. But I'm really glad I applied every time. Before I read about the technical aspects of this scholarship, what I'll say to you is that even just answering the question in the scholarship helps me reflect on the why. Right, and I'll emphasize again the why of why do you want to be a CFP, right? And actually, it required me to write out my thinking and my motivation and to plan out in a brief way what I wanted to do with the certification when I was done. And that is actually, when I look back at my writing for that scholarship, it's taken a slightly different path. But I'm so glad that I did that in the beginning because it helped motivate me, it helped organize me, and it helped focus me for what I was able to achieve after. So the Gillespie Scholarship was established about 10 years ago in recognition of Robert Gillespie, also known as Bob Gillespie. He was by Bob as well. And he, I don't know where to start with this because Bob has been one of those mentors I mentioned before. As soon as I received the scholarship, Bob reached out to me and said, congratulations, and we had a phone call. And he was one of the first people I talked to for career advice. And he is a certified financial planner himself. And he served for 25 plus years as the financial planning program director. And what the scholarship fund does, it provides grants up to $2,000 per year, and it reimburses you after you successfully complete the course. So I'll say that again. It reimburses you after you successfully complete the course. So this is another benefit, actually, because, you know, when I was doing the CFP program, I was working full time. I was, spending nights, weekends, after work, studying. And it was so easy to put the program to the side, so easy. But since I knew that I had the scholarship ahead of me, and since I knew that BU was behind me and supporting me in this, it was an additional carrot for me, an additional accountability partner for me to actually get it done. And that's what I want to encourage you to find something, whether it's a scholarship fund or a friend or a community of other students that can really push you and keep you accountable to the schedule to finish the program. I would really encourage that, because like I said, life gets in the way, and it's really easy to put everything in front of the studies that have a longer payoff. And so the goal of the scholarship fund is to encourage more students who wish to assist traditionally underserved populations. And also, I think there's an additional focus in the scholarship fund to encourage people of color, to encourage women to join the profession as well. And so it's either serving a traditionally underserved population. So for example, when I started working with a nonprofit, so I wrote about that in my essay. Or if you are actually from and identify with a traditionally underserved population or underrepresented population in financial planning. So the website is right there on the slide, and you can find it online and find more details online as well. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much, Phuong, for going over your inspiring story and experience with the Golofsky Scholarship. And at this time, we'll now hear from Carolynn about her CFP experience. Thank you, Carolynn.
Thanks, Sarah. I just want to share my path of financial planning, getting started in this field with you as well, because it's different from Phuong's. And Phuong has done a remarkable job on her journey. Look at how much she has accomplished within these past 10 years. And because she came to the BU program, we're all very, very proud of her, I want to say. But I just want to mention to you that I do have one thing in common with Phuong, and that is I was a career changer too. So my story is a little different. I was widowed many years ago, and at that time I had a young daughter that I had to raise. So I also had a very good job, but even though I had this good job, I was really kind of worried about how I was going to be able to manage financially, not only at that present time in my life, but also to manage to help my daughter and raise my daughter for the future. So what I started to do was the only thing I knew how to do was started just reading financial planning articles that came my way. And that way I figured out I could learn what it was I needed to know. But I quickly realized this wasn't enough. So what I did was I enrolled in the BU financial planning program, and I took their first course, the Introduction to Financial Planning course. And it turns out this course was really very challenging for me. And I learned a lot of very useful information. And when it was over, I really wanted to continue and learn some more. But to tell you the truth, I wasn't sure I could do well in the other courses, because I had been an English major in college and I had no background or experience in finance. So I made this decision that I would continue with the program, but I also gave myself permission to drop out if I found out that the coursework was going to become too hard. Well, here's my experience. It turns out that the courses were difficult and that I did need to put in a lot of extra time and effort to learn that material. But I really was able to do it all and stay on top of it. And I found that that whole experience was very much worthwhile. And so my message to all of you is, if I could do it, then you can too. And just also keep in mind too, as you're going through the program, if you need to reach out for some help with your studies, you can always contact Phuong to get your questions answered. And we also have some live webinars that are conducted by our instructors. And you can attend these webinars to get your questions answered as well. And so I know you're here to hear more about the BU Financial Planning Program. So why don't I turn that back over to Phuong, and she can tell you what the program has to offer.
Thanks, Carolyn. Okay, so I'll talk to you about the program. So like Carolyn mentioned, I am the financial planning facilitator that can help students through the online program as they're taking the courses, whenever they have questions about the content. So if you're not sure how to answer a question, a practice question, or if you're not sure how to read or interpret a section of the course or any topic, or looking for other resources, you can always email. And when you're receiving the program, it'll be clear how to access that, and I can respond. And so, I'll start from the top. That the BE program is the oldest and most prestigious program. Is one of the prestigious financial planning programs in the country. And it has been ranked number 2 in the U.S. by thebestschools.org for the last 4 years. And it's also important to say that it's a self-study program, and it's 100% online. And so therefore you have access to it 24/7. And you can complete your studies at your own pace and at your own convenience. It's a 7-course certificate program, which takes on average 1 to 2 years to complete. And there are study guides available throughout the course to help you keep pace with the program. And there are different schedules available as well. So if you want to complete it in less time or take the full 2 years, the study guides help you break down week by week what the recommended course and schedule is. But of course, you can be flexible with it and you get your own pace. Some courses can be finished, quicker than others. And really, it's up to you and also your background and educational background and what courses you want to review and dig into the most. It also has a rolling admissions. So once you enroll, you can start your courses right away and just begin into the first course, which is the Introduction to Financial Planning. And then also the program offers live instructor-led webinars every 2 weeks. And they're live because the instructors allow time for question and answer, and also it's recorded. Right? So every webinar, there's recording that gets saved to the online platform, and so you can review, if you miss any webinar, you can review all of them, and not just the ones in the during the time that you enroll, but also previous webinars from previous years. And every webinar focuses on key topics, but also are focused on topics throughout the courses throughout the program as well. There's also a final culminating course called the capstone course, and that's the last course in the program. It offers faculty-led instruction through weekly webinars and Q&A sessions to help you complete your final projects. And that is the course where you build out a financial plan and you get really real-world practice presenting a financial plan to a hypothetical client. And so that was actually, speaking from my own experience, that was one of my favorite courses in the BE program. And let's see what else. There are faculty videos in the program with tips to help you prepare for the practice of financial planning. So like I mentioned, it's not just the technical education you'll get, but also practical education around communication, around debt management, around different topics in financial planning that you still need when you're a practitioner. And at the completion of the program, you can receive a Boston University certificate in financial planning if you meet the education requirements. And those are the aspects of the program. And we'll be here later on if you have additional questions regarding the program.
Great, thank you so much, Phuong, and thank you, Carolyn, for your story as well. All right, so at this time, I will go over the tuition for the program here. So as you can see on the slide, we have 3 different program enrollment packages, if you will, that correspond to each individual student's needs or your budgets. The standard program featured on the far left here gives you access to the 7 individual courses and webinars, and that's listed for $4,395. The program with books package in the middle here includes an additional bundled savings, and of all 7 courses included, and your books are included as well. So you can see just the outline there. And the final program bundle offering on the far right is the program with books and exam review. This is probably the most sought after or the most enrolled option here. It's also referred to as the Platinum package, and this offers the largest bundled savings with both books and a third-party exam review included. But for this month, the month of December, we're offering a promotion on this package only here for the same cost as the Program Plus Books package with your complimentary CFP exam review class, and your CFP exam fee is also included. So you'll see there it's a savings of more than $1,900 compared to buying these things individually. We do offer payment plans for the program. Your first payment would be made at the start of your enrollment, and then every 30 days you would then be charged your next payment. Or you can pay in full, whichever is fitting for your budget as well. If you're interested in taking courses a la carte, students can also purchase single courses to get started on your educational goals rather than beginning with the full program option. So you can see here on the slide, the program title and cost are listed, starting with, as Carolynn's mentioned, the Introduction to Financial Planning, all the way through to the capstone course in financial planning, and the prices are listed on the side there as well. And if you have any questions about the program or the registration process, please feel free to reach out to one of our enrollment advisors, and they will certainly be happy to help guide you through this process. The email and phone number are listed there on the slide. You can also visit our website at www.financialplanningonline.bu.edu to chat with one of our advisors or view additional program details. All right, and now with that, we will begin our questions and answer session. I know we've had some questions come in throughout the webinar that we've been answering on the back end, a few, but we'll read most of them aloud here or try to get to as many as we can. Just a reminder, please use your questions box on the right-hand side of your screen to ask your questions, and we will get through as many as we can. All right, so one moment. All right, so Carolyn, I'll pass this first question to you, please. One of our audience members has asked, do current students have opportunities or methods to get to know each other in form a sort of community within the program?
I wish that I could say to you, yes. The problem is, of course, this is not a classroom program, so you don't have that opportunity to meet and network and be together. Being an online program, it makes it a little bit more difficult, but we do have discussion boards. And what you can do is the people going through the program around the same time that you are, when you enroll, are taking those same courses that you are. So what you should do is always pay attention to the discussion boards, because people are posting questions. Phuong gets involved in that. She answers questions for people. People can make comments back and forth to one another. So you can almost create your own cohort or little group as you're going through it. The other thing that I would say, though, is when you get to the instructor-led capstone course, that's different. What we do is we have a start date for that, and we offer that 3 times a year, so that if you wanted to choose to be part of this cohort, now what you're going to do is start with the same group of people in that class, and you'll stay with them until you finish the capstone course. So that is one group of people that you will be able to get in touch with. But of course, all of this is going to be virtual contact with other students.
Thank you, Carolyn. And can you also please just go over very briefly the time commitment to complete the program and a recommended time commitment for this person, please?
Yes, the program itself will run up to 21 months in order to, when you're starting your first Introduction to Financial Planning course up through the end of the capstone course. However, that 21-month window is available to you. If you wanted to accelerate your studies and go through the course even sooner, you can do that, because in each and every course of the 7 courses that we have study guides that you can take a look at and use as a guide for yourself in order to keep pace with the program that you want to be in. So in other words, if you want to complete your studies in 9 months, you can do that. If you want to complete it in 1 year, if you want to complete it in 18 months, it's entirely up to you. But you have 21 months available to you for this program.
Great, thank you, Carolyn. And this person's asking, does a 1 to 2 year time frame mean that you're also working full-time, or is it more so full-time doing the program?
Most of our students do work full-time. Here's the type of students that we have basically are 2 kinds. Career changers who are working in some other field but are looking into transitioning into financial planning in the future, and also those who are already working in financial services and are just looking to get their CFP certification. So most of the people are working and have busy home lives and professional lives and careers going, and they're doing this program at the same time. And that's why many of those people will choose the BU online financial planning program, because it gives them that flexibility so that anytime they have some downtime or whatever their schedules are, when they've got an opportunity to get online again and start working, they can do that. It's completely at their convenience and they can set their own pace.
Wonderful, thank you so much. And Phuong, I will pass this question to you if I could, please. Are there specific grades for each class, or is it pass-fail?
Yes, there are actually grades to each class. And the grades are based on the highest score you can achieve on the exam for that course. And so you get different tries, you get more than one try, of course, and we prepare students as well as possible to succeed. And so we'll work with you to make sure that you are successful in each of those courses.
Thank you so much. And Carolyn, maybe you could offer some advice here for this person. They're asking, does major and planned gifts and fundraising, such as charitable gift planning, potentially satisfy that work experience required for CFP, or would one normally maybe need to move out of the nonprofit space for this?
What I would say to you is go to the CFP Board's website and take a look at their work experience requirements, because it really depends on what you're doing in the field. They don't grant you work experience based on the field you work in. It's really what you're doing within that field. So if you've been working with clients, if you're advising them on charitable gifting and tax situations, things of that nature, then you are providing financial planning type advice. So what I would say to you is your work experience may certainly qualify, and you should get in touch with the CFP Board's website, and also ask CFP Board, tell them your situation, and they can tell you, you know, based on your experience, what amount of that experience may be counted towards your work experience requirement.
Thank you, Carolyn. And also for you, how difficult might it be to get into or have work experience without any financial background once you complete the program?
This happens to a lot of our students who are career changers. What they will do traditionally is focus on their studies, then they'll focus on studying for the board's exam, they'll pass the board's exam, and now they have 5 years in order to look for that work experience. There are many type of entry-level positions within the financial planning field. I had mentioned some of them to you, but also you could go to the Center for Financial Planning, which is part of CFP Board, and you could take a look at their career information and career opportunities that they have available there. But giving you 5 years to complete either a 2-year work experience requirement or a 3-year work experience requirement generally is sufficient for people who want to start working in this field.
Thank you. And as fiduciaries, do CFPs tend to work as hourly advisors only, or do they generally seek to sell or trade products and securities? And either Carolyn or Phuong, feel free to jump in on that one.
Go ahead, Phuong.
Sure. So CFP professionals can do either. And you can still be a fiduciary and sell proprietary products, and also if you're providing fee-only financial planning. And it's actually a big topic in the CFP community, and it's a discussion that continues on. But you can absolutely be a CFP and a fiduciary in any role that you're in.
Thank you so much. And Carolyn, if someone already has the CFA designation, does this accelerate them through the BU program?
Yes, as a matter of fact, if you have a CFA, or if you're a CPA, or if you're a JD, an attorney, or if you have some insurance designations, you don't necessarily have to go through a full 7-course program anywhere. In other words, the CFP board will consider you to be a challenger to the board's exam. And so what you will need to do is probably take a look at the CFP board topic lists and what they will test on for the exam. And if you're familiar with all of those subjects, then all you would need to do is take the capstone course in financial planning. However, because you're a CFA doesn't mean you know what you need to know about estate planning, for example, or retirement planning, perhaps. So what I would say to you is, even though the CFP board would say to you, all you need to do is take that capstone course and then sit for the exam, I think what you really need to do is take a look at what information you know about the board's topics and see whether or not you would be prepared just having your CFA designation.
Great answer. Thank you, Carolyn. And maybe you can answer this one too. I know we tend to get this question a lot, and it's mostly for career changers. Is someone who's later on in life, 45 or up, is it too late for them to make a career change to be a CFP?
I would say the answer is no to that. I mean, we do have a lot of students going through our program who are not only in their 40s, but also in their early 50s as well. So it really depends on what you're looking to do in the financial planning field and what your work experience has been and where you want it to go from there. So it really depends. And what I would say to you is it will take some research on your part to find out, based on what you want to do and the type of practices you want to work for, get out there and meet with people in those practices or who work for those institutions or work for those particular firms to find out what are their characteristics for what their age groups that they're hiring. Obviously, people who are younger in this field are going to be more desirable in terms of being able to be snatched up for financial planning positions. But at the same time, people with great deal of experience and expertise in a financial planning related field are also very valuable to firms as well. So I would say there's not one answer for that. It's really going to be up to you based on where you live, where you want to work, what type of firms you want to work for, and start doing some research on that. And also mention that your professional organizations like the FPA and NAPFA may also be able to help you with that as well.
Great, thank you, Carolyn. And Phuong, for you, are there deliverables for each class, or is it more of a matter of learning the material and then taking the CFP exam?
Yeah, so In the first 6 courses, there are exams and there are quizzes to take, and there's also a case study that you complete throughout the course. So you follow a hypothetical couple with their balance sheet and cash flow statement and different details of their lives as if they were a client, and you follow them throughout the course, throughout the program, and you complete a financial plan along the way through those initial courses. And then at the end, the capstone course is where the final deliverable comes in. There are quizzes for the capstone course, but there's not an exam. Instead of an exam, you have a final project, which is a full financial plan for a family. And it's a family where we give you details about their financial lives, their goals, and you complete the financial plan for them, and we will walk you through it and provide a template as well. And then you record yourself actually presenting the plan as if the client was in front of you. And that's a summary of the program. And really, it's meant to give you the technical knowledge, but also to give you practice of what it's like to actually be a financial planner.
Great, thank you so much. And a few people have questions regarding their current education requirements, the degrees that they hold. So is having a BS in finances or already having a CPA, is this enough for the education requirement to then move on to the next area, if you will, for CFP?
I'll take that one because a CPA, yes, if you have a CPA, that is one of the challenger status. That means that you would only have to take the capstone course. But if you've taken other courses, say in master's programs, where you think when you take a look at CFP board topics for that subject, and you say, hey, I've learned all of this information before. I've already received credit for that. Through another course that I've taken, then what you can do is you can submit a transcript to CFP board and have them do a transcript review, and they can determine whether or not you've met that requirement for that particular course. And sometimes they will waive you out of taking a course as well. So I think you do have to pay for that. I believe it may be about $100. Maybe that has changed, so don't hold me to it. But get in touch with the board. It may be worth it to you in terms of time and effort and money spent taking a course to see whether or not they would waive you out of one.
Great, thank you so much. And I know we're almost just right at the top of the hour here, but I can certainly still go through a few more questions from our audience if Carolyn and Phuong, if you're able to stay.
Sure.
Great. All right, our next question here. This person asked, how many hours can we expect each course to take? And I think we touched on that a little bit, but I don't know if Carolyn, if you want to give a brief overview for each course time frame.
Well, again, it really depends on what your knowledge is, your previous knowledge. If you're already working in the financial planning field and you know investment planning extremely well, then it's going to take you a very short period of time to go through the investment planning course. If you're taking a course that you're completely unfamiliar with, then what I would do is I would go to the study guide and I would take a look to see how much time they want you to spend on each module. What we do within our courses is we break them up into all different modules. We have typically anywhere from 12 to 15 modules per course, and so that you can get through, you can use your study time to work on a module, and then it's a beginning and end period, and then go on to the next module. So that will really help you get your study time down into manageable increments that will help you get through the program. What I would say in general, if you're looking for just general guidance, I would say you've got to put in at least 10 hours a week. I mean, if you can't really devote that, 10 hours to something like this, which is really, it's important and it's pretty complex and it's very thorough. And so you want to make sure that you stay on top of it. If you can only devote an hour or two a week, then maybe the time is not right for you to begin. But if you have 10 hours a week, I think you can get through the program without a problem.
Great, thank you so much, Carolyn. This question, if you complete the training and pass the test before completing the work experience, do you then obtain the CFP or do you have to wait? I don't know if Carolyn.
I didn't know Phuong was going to jump in. No, you get your certification once you have completed the 4 E's. And so if you have not completed your work experience, even though you completed the first 2, education and the exam, you have to wait to use your CFP until you complete the board's work experience requirement.
Thank you. And someone else is asking, are the courses very textbook heavy? In other words, would you rely more heavily on the textbooks versus, say, the webinar sessions and what have you?
I'll take this one too, only because textbooks I spend a lot of time with all of the textbooks.
Yes.
What I would say to you is the information that you need to know is in the program. So as you're going through the program, what we also have though for each module is we have reading assignments for each module. We tell everybody to go through the module first and then afterwards do the reading assignment, because the reading assignment will reinforce what you've just learned. But sometimes remember, a lot of these textbooks are not just written for CFP programs. So they may bring you different information than what you're learning in the program. But what you're learning in the program is what's important to you and what's important for the CFP board's exam. However, we want to give you that broader knowledge that you're going to get from the textbooks. Also, you need to know that textbooks are a requirement by CFP board, so that every single course throughout the country has to have a textbook associated with it. But we just want you to know that everything is all inclusive in the BU online program. Everything you need to know is in the course. Everything you need to know to pass your final exam is in the course. And that's what's going to help prepare you to take the CFP board's exam as well.
Thank you, Carolyn. And Phuong did say she had to jump off to another meeting, so I just wanted to let you know that as well. We'll take maybe a few more questions here, and then we'll close out the session for today. So this question's come up a few times. This person says, I'm not from the US, but will the content be mostly applicable to worldwide in a broader sense or specific to US?
This is specific to the United States. And so there is Financial Planning Standards Board. I think it's FSB, something like that. I'd have to look it up for you. But they do have, you can get your CFP designation in different countries, and different countries all have their own requirements. It's not the same as the CFP boards in the United States. So if you are interested in practicing outside of the United States or becoming certified outside the United States, you should really look at the Financial Planning Standards Board to find out on an international level what those requirements would be.
Great, thank you. And for the financial plan project during the capstone course, is there software provided to make your plan, or do we use more of the Word or Excel for this?
Just an Excel spreadsheet, and we give that to you. So really all you're doing is filling in the blanks on someone's financial plan. It's many different documents that we have prepared for you, but what you're going to need to do is it's not complete. You're going to have to complete that. So you're working basically with a Word document and also an Excel spreadsheet. We don't feel that people need to go out and spend money on software, and nor should they. This is the type of financial plan that we want people to use their brains and not the calculating power of a software program instead.
Great, thank you. And perhaps you can answer this from just your own experience, Carolyn. What kind of support does BU provide for those that have gone through the program and passed the class to find perhaps a job in the field? I asked this as someone in my early 50s who took an 18-year career break.
what we always say to people is, first of all, you could get in touch with me for any kind of career counseling at any time that you would like, at any point throughout the program. So that way, if I can help steer you in certain directions based on what it is that you're looking for, and what not just my knowledge of the field is, but also our instructor knowledge of the field, because we have 22 different instructors that are associated with this program. So certainly we know the Boston area very, very well, but we can also give you information that would apply to you no matter where you live. So anyway, please feel free to reach out by email to me at any point in time. I'd be happy to try and steer you in the right direction.
Thank you, Carolyn. And what kind of support would you get, or do you have any advice for somebody who may not pass the CFP exam the first time?
I would say don't worry about that, because you're in really good company. There are lots of people throughout the country who do not pass on their first attempt. The national average for passing is somewhere in the low 60s for passing the exam. 60% is what I'm talking about. So obviously Boston University students do much better than that, and I think that's probably why our program has been ranked #2 for the past 4 years. That's out of about 300 schools that offer these programs. So we do know what you need to know in order to be successful on the exam, and we prepare you that way. But the thing is, if you don't pass the first time, get right back up there and take that next exam. You will find you don't have to study everything. There's just certain areas that you're going to hone in on and spend a little bit more time studying based on your performance on the previous exam. So I would say, don't worry about it. Just be prepared for that next exam and get back up on that horse and win that prize.
Thanks so much. And this will probably be our last question for today before we wrap up here. How many people are usually in one cohort or one program session at a time on average?
It's hard to say that, because obviously we are not a cohort-based program. We are a self-study program. So you could start today if you wanted to, and then you're on your own and on your own time frame and on your own at your own pace. So it's not like everybody is in lockstep with you. It's not like you are one cohort going through this together. However, that changes when you get to the capstone course, because you have the option of continuing to do it self-study on your own, or have an instructor-led cohort that you join. So that's the only course that we have that. So I would say to you that there's generally about, at any one period of time, we probably have at least 1,200 people going through the program in all different courses. So obviously, if you start today, you'll find other people who are starting today as well. And if you want to get in touch with some of these people, you can through the discussion boards.
Thank you for explaining that, Carolyn. And with that, I would just like to thank you all again for joining us today, and we hope that this information presented will help guide you in your search for a quality CFP education. And again, please feel free to reach out if your question was not answered today to one of our enrollment advisors. I know Carolyn said you as well are available to answer any questions offline, so we just want to make sure everyone has the opportunity for that. And with that, I hope everyone enjoys the rest of their day. Thank you so much.
Thank you.